I am author April L.J. Ford. I am the author of the Egg series, The Adventures of Emma Grace Godwin, better known as Egg. And I wanted to thank you all for allowing me to have this opportunity today. I really wish that I could be at this school with you guys today, but I am under the weather. But I did not want to leave you hanging. I did not want to leave Miss Cannon hanging because I just love her so much. So I wanted to make a quick video talking about my process of becoming an author and my process of creating my books. And yeah, so like I said, I am the author of the Egg series. Here we go. We have Egg Gets a New Friend and Egg Gets New Ears. And I'm also the author of Everything to Everyone. So we will get into the process of how I started creating my books. It started off as a class project. I was in college and I was an education major. And so one of the projects assignments that we were given was create a children's book. And so it just needed to be, I think, about 4 or 5 pages long and create the book. So created the book, got an A on the project, and then that was that. And so I put it aside and I went on about my life. And a few years later, I was like, I can do this. I could become an author. I was like, I can write books. The reason that I was just thinking about, I could do this, I was reading the book, Pete the Cat, and he was talking about his shoes. And I'm like, I could do that. So I went back through my files. I found the book that I wrote, and I decided to expand on that. So that's what I did. I expanded on the adventures of Emma Grace Godwin, and I started developing more characters in the book. So the process, how I always start my books with the title first. I think it helps me outline or shape what I want the book to be about. And I know some people, they'll write the book and then they'll come up with a title later, but my process, I always start with the title, and then that helps me develop the rest of the book. So I started with the title, which is Emma Grace Godwin, or The Adventures of Egg. Egg gets a new friend. So with that title, I knew that we were going to talk about friendships. So I started writing the book. I used a composition notebook that like you guys have that you have to write in. I had a couple of composition notebooks. So I just picked them up and I just started writing. It took me probably like a day or two to write the book. So I wrote the book. I sent it to a friend of mine. And I wanted her to read the book. I wanted her to be the editor. So she read the book because I wanted to make sure that there were any grammatical errors. And I also wanted to make sure that the book flowed. It was in my head, and then I put it on paper, but would it flow with anyone else? Would it flow if you read it? So after she said, okay, this is great. I really liked it. She said she really liked it, and I was very excited because this is the first time that I've ever written a children's book. So at this point, it's just the manuscript, it's just the words on the paper. And so after that process, I was like, okay, I want to do this. But when I was in school, I remembered that with the project that I had to do when I was in college, it also let me know things that I remembered was that when you're writing a children's book, it needs to be either 28 pages or 32 pages. So I needed to make sure that I had either a book for 28 pages or 32 pages. And I believe, let's see how many pages. The Egg series has 32 pages. 32. But I wanted to make sure that I had the correct amount because there's a standard when you're writing children's books, depending on the type of book. So I made sure that it had the 32 pages. So the next step was, okay, the manuscript was great. There were no errors, no grammatical errors. But now what's the next step? What do I do? Come up with an illustrator. I needed to find an illustrator. I needed to find someone to put the pictures and bring the book to life. because it's not a chapter book. So there had to be illustrations. I am now an illustrator. I'm an artist, but not that type of artist. So I went on an app called Fiverr, and there on Fiverr were many people that were graphic designers, illustrators. I mean, they do everything. If you need a music producer, there's all types of artists on there willing to help you out. So I was looking for, I typed in cartoonist. So no, I wanted a cartoonist. So then once that popped up, I could look through the different pictures that they would post to say, oh, I like the way that this person draws. I like the way that they did this. So I put a bid in, which is kind of like a post saying, hey, I wrote a children's book and now I need someone to help me illustrate it. So I told them a little bit about the story, about the book, and I told them what I was looking for. And so people were just pinging me, responding to my post. And from there, I sent 2 pages of the book, and I gave them a little direction, like, Egg is an African American girl, and she has poof balls. She has, 2 little Afro puffs. So, but after that, I said, have creative freedom. Let me see what you come up with. So they would send me back the pictures that they drew, and I'm like, oh, I like this. I really like this. Oh, I don't really like that. So once I picked the illustrator that I wanted to work with, then I sent the illustrator the manuscript. And I sent him the manuscript, but on this manuscript that I sent him, it went through every page, and it was very detailed of how I wanted the pages to look. So it's kind of like, I sent him a storyboard. It was like an outline, pretty much. It was the manuscript, but it also gave very detailed instructions on how I wanted that page to look. So like if we look at the first page in Egg Gets a New Friend, I knew that I wanted it to look like they were at a clubhouse with girls running around playing with each other. Just outside, it's their little clubhouse. I knew that I wanted that to be the first scene. Now, it doesn't say that they need to be outside. So it's not like he could read the manuscript and then come up with a picture. So that's where I had to make sure that I left him detailed notes. So from there, he did the entire book. Once, I sent him the information, he did the entire book, and then he would send the book to me. Now, the draft that he sent first, the pictures were, think of coloring sheets. There was no color on the pages. He just sent out, imagine again, this page, but with no color. So like he sent this page, but it didn't have any color on it. It was just the coloring sheets. So you do that, or he did that, because once the color is on the page, it's kind of difficult to go back and change things. So it's best to change the ideas or how it looks when you are in the colorless page phase. So once we agreed on how we wanted it to look, and I said, I would make changes. Oh, no, I really like this. Can you change this? Make sure she has earrings, small little details like that. But they're very important because this is my very first book and I wanted it to be right, And so once we went back and forth, he added the color. Now, when he adds the color, there's a couple of changes that you can make because you want to make sure, oh, well, no, she needs to have purple glasses, or this needs to be this color, this needs to be like that. So once you do those final edits, then he sends the book back to me. An email, he emails the book back to me. So the next process is I had my book published by Amazon, which is a great way to have your first books published, because the great thing with Amazon is they send it out. You know how your moms and dads and aunts and uncles and everyone, we order things from Amazon. So you can order my book from Amazon. So Amazon, they publish the book for me, which makes it easy because when you order the book, it goes straight to you, directly to you, and I don't have to print it out. I don't have to be home making books and printing them out and going to the post office and all that. So they help with all the big, hard, super duper work of getting it out to people, having it shipped to people. So the thing with Amazon is I had to upload my book, and you put in all the figures, like this book is going to be an 8 by 11. You put that in and how many pages. And then Amazon, it's like you just drop it into the circle or drop it into the square of where your book is. And if something is outside of the margin, then they'll say you need to make this smaller, you need to do this. So once they gave me notes of this needs to be this way, this needs to be this way. And the reason why they're doing this is because they need to make sure that it prints right. I knew that I wanted my book to be this size. So I also knew that there was margins that we needed to stay into. So when I was telling the illustrator to illustrate the book, I gave him the scale that he needed to illustrate the book on, to make sure that it fit the correct parameters that it needed to fit on Amazon. So after all of that is done, after Amazon approves and says, yes, this book is ready to go, that's where that exciting part comes from. So the exciting part comes from once I hit submit, 2 days later, my book is ready to be purchased on Amazon. And I was super duper excited. Oh, and one fact that I left out was I took my book when it was in the color stage, like the colorless part, when it was looking like the coloring book. I took my book to elementary schools and I would read it because I wanted to see if the real people that were going to be looking at these books and reading these books are going to like it. And the real people are you, are the students, are you. So I went to different schools and I read my book, and it was in the early stages of, like I said, the looking like the coloring book pages, and I would read it to them and they liked it. So I wanted to see if the real consumer, which are you, the students, if y'all were gonna like it, and you guys did. So then that made me go ahead. I'm like, we got a winner. So anyway, so that brings us back to our books that we now have. So once I submitted them to Amazon, they approved it, and I hit submit. 2 days later, my book was ready to be sold and purchased on Amazon, and I was super duper excited about that. So that is how the process goes. That's how the process went with the first book, the second book, and then the third book is really special because I didn't use Amazon. I published it myself. I made a company called The Egg Stories, and our tagline is, if you don't see it, create it. Okay, so if there's something that you want and you don't see it, that's where it's up to you. You have to create it. So this book is really, really special to me because I didn't use Amazon to publish it. I created a publishing company myself, like I said, The Egg Stories LLC, and I published this book all by myself. I had to get what is called an ISBN number, and so that's on the back. So I had to purchase these ISBN numbers. I had to purchase them because every book has a barcode. Every book has a barcode right there. So you do this so people can scan it and it can be sold, and then it's also registered like this is an actual book. So I published this one, and I had this book manufactured in China because I wanted it to be, if you can see, one of those cardboard books. I call them cuddle books because you read them when you're little and your mom and dad read them to you when you're going to bed. So I wanted this to be a cuddle book, and we don't manufacture hardcover books like this in the United States. So I had to outsource this in China. So I outsourced this, and I went through the same process that I did do in with the Egg series. I went to Fiverr. I found an illustrator that I liked, and And so it went through the same process where he would send me the colorless pages. We made all the edits, and then I sent it to the manufacturer. He did this and he sent me the book back. We did a lot of video calls. And he showed me what the book was going to look like, and I absolutely loved it. So those are different ways that you can get your book published. You can go through companies like Amazon, where they will publish them for you, and they will make sure when people purchase them, they can purchase them right from Amazon. So these books are made to order. As soon as you print them, or soon as you order them, that's when they're printed. This book, which it was self-published, this is the book that I published with my publishing company. So when I ordered this from China, I had to order in bulk. Like, I had to get a lot of books, and I have a lot of books at my house. So please purchase a book. So I had to purchase this in bulk. So these are at my house. So that's where it's different from Amazon, because I have to mail these to you guys if you want to order them. But yeah, so those are the different ways that I started writing my book and publishing them. So I went through two different ways. I went the Amazon route, and then I went the, where I am my own publishing company. So that is how I became an author. I wrote the book down in my composition notebook, the manuscript, and I used a company to find my illustrator, and then ta-da! So it is very fun, it is very interesting, and you guys can create some amazing stories all on your own. If you like the way that an author writes and things like that, you can do the same. So yeah, so thank you all. I really wish that I could have been there today, but I hope that this will suffice. Thank you so much. Go out there, create your stories. If there's an idea in your head and you're like, this would be a great story, I want to write this story, it's the adventures of whoever, you can do that. You can do that. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you, and bye.